I would like to say I'm happy, but I'm not. That would be a lie. I am so angry right now. And if I was a good Vaishnav and if I was a better devotee, I would not be angry. I would be balanced. We are never to should on ourselves, but true Vaishnavas are equiposed. You see, I am a way shower, I am a teacher, and I have been for many years. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. And like everyone, I get incredibly low. I get incredibly low as a psychic, though, as a feeler of the world. And this theme of rise of the sacred sovereign and challenging myself to show up has to do with being seen for what is. Now, I'm not saying that I am not a happy person, but for my whole life, pain in the form of migraines has shown up so that I could be with you and the world on a collective level. So when I say heaven and hell is on the same paradigm or the same line of a spectrum, and that I'm angry on an individual level and a collective level about, I'm angry from pressure. Now in Bhakti Yoga, we talk about pressure in a very beautiful way. It's called rajas, and it's called energy, fire, right? All our Ayurveda and yogi people know that. And I don't even have water. I meant to get water and be ready. Thank you. I'm so angry with the world for not being able to experience the spectrum right now. It has not been a lie to say that 2020 was the Great Awakening and the hardest year of our lives. And it's true that the reason it was the Great Awakening is because we're all being shown heaven and hell at the same time. Today, people were gathering in DC and they were, well, I don't know what people do individually, and I know what we're told, but I know that someone died, and I know that the spectrum of heaven and hell existed there. I'm going to take a sip of water. Heaven and hell exist on the same timeline. And my question to you is, are you ready to choose? Are you ready to make that choice? We make it every day, subconsciously and without noticing. Are we ready to step up and choose the timeline end of that spectrum? Actively, consciously. We all collectively are individuals experiencing heaven or hell at all times. How we deal with the pressure when we're somewhere on that spectrum is our practice. And most of us are completely blind because we are programmed in such a way where we live by success. And what success is for most is material. What if it was spiritual? What if the timeline of heaven and hell had everything to do with being in the pressure and handling the pressure and growing from the pressure, even in hell? And tonight, on this day one challenge of the rise of the sacred sovereign, I wanted to show up and say, I feel that hell with you, and I feel that pressure with you. And I'm choosing to work on the spectrum with an open heart and an open mind. And here's what that means to me. It means experiencing heaven and hell as possibilities in every situation, and knowing that I don't know everything, and knowing that humbling myself is going to be uncomfortable. And if we try too hard to make everything heaven, and we don't see the hell that already is existing and has forever, if we choose to be all rainbows and unicorns and unity and not see that we are all unique, pained individuals, if we think that God only exists in one form, but not in every other form, I mean every other form, if we think there's one religion, one guru, how are we going to expand in the rajas? How are we going to flower and open in the pressure? How will we become the gem and the jewel as a soul? We're not diamonds. We're not meant to be so pressurized and angry that we just get violent and pop into a diamond. It doesn't work that way. Yes, Katie, to be whole. To be whole means to organically, physically, psychologically, and emotionally understand that the spectrum of life is heaven to hell, hell to heaven, good to evil, yes to no. It's polarity. But it's duality only to the point where it helps us understand our relationship to God. That's it. And by God, I mean whatever and whomever you deem God to be, or divinity, or virtuous, or unique, beautiful, auspicious. What do you call God? Who's God to you? And if the answer is there's no God, or the answer is God is only this, God is only that, then you know what? That is exactly what I'm talking about not being able to see both ends of the spectrum. Like this disease that we're understanding on a spectrum. I'm going to tell you guys one honest thing. At this point, if you don't know that it's possible that the disease was man-made, or the virus or whatever, that you don't know it's possible, or that it's possible that we don't know really who our elected leaders are on a deep level, if it's possible that we don't know that, then you're probably not quite, living your fullest whole capacity as a human being, because heaven to hell exist, and it's both sides. Maybe we're just angry because we're not seen and we're not heard. Maybe we're so angry because there's psychic overload and pressure coming from outside of our control that's squeezing us and not allowing us to be fully recognized. Maybe we're pissed off because the spectrum of polarity from A to B or A to Z is not being held and supported. Why are we so against thinking that there could be nefarious goings on in the world? Why? Why? God is everything and everywhere. Amen, Scott. Amen. I was going to say brother, but you're my cousin. Amen. I think that we're getting to that point in time where we're open to having the conversation, right? And it doesn't have to be religious anymore. Because of fear, Sarah says. And I fear. I have so much fear and so much anger, like everyone. But, I always say in soul mapping, how are we going to still live through the fear, right? Like, how much are we going to be told what to do? How much are we giving up for our belief systems versus who we are as a human who's whole and has both sides? That's literally the only thing I wanted to touch upon tonight, in regards to rising as sacred and sovereign souls and living on this incredible timeline and landscape from heaven to hell. You know, you were born to be in this time, right? And I was born to be in this time. And Narayani was born to be a baby and up to a 3-year-old in this time. So it's not just that there's pressure, it's that we are truly in the greatest awakening ever. And it's really painful, but it doesn't mean what we think. We created the soul mapping matrix so that there could be an outlet for the work. And the work is to see, hear, and feel that which is unseen. And for me, that comes through pain and migraines my whole life. It took all this time to realize that the pain is that, A, I'm feeling the collective, which I've always known. The collective, you know, it just gets so much in my body, probably has to like completely die and be reborn over and over again. And it's not so much the migraine and the pain that's hard for me, it's the buildup. Because that's pressure and that's rajas. So what do you have in your life that is building in pressure and pressure but not releasing? Maybe we could talk about that. I want to take a moment to just say that during this epic time, there are a lot of people that I've been taking association and counsel from. And I'm thinking that we could start sharing more with each other on a deeper level. And maybe we'll end up doing that in membership or on a different platform. But for now, I love doing this with you. Sarah asked if I can say more about Rajas. Yes, I can. Thank you for that direction. One of the best things about running a yoga school and talking yoga is that it's eternal language and landscape to express things that exist on every timeline and in every reality for anyone, Jews, Christians, doesn't matter our religion. And one of those things is this thing called guna or mood or mode. We have the material realm. This is our body and what we're seeing, hearing, and feeling. Yeah. And then there's like the subtle energetic realm, which is hard to see. In Chinese and Ayurveda medicine, they have names for subtle energy body, meridian lines, and now finally science, by that I mean the empirical Western science world has caught up and they can actually measure energetics. And that becomes material also. Subtle goes deeper. Where is our mind and our intelligence? How are we experiencing the world when we close our eyes? And that I talk a lot about when I write and in books, because that's a lot of time I spend. After that energy, we can go into another transcendent place. But Rajas is the name for the mode of passion, which is the mode of getting shit done also. It starts with, you know, vata or air energy or movement, right? Which on one end of the spectrum is great, and party planning and getting things done. On the other end is total anxiety, like air going crazy. The mode of Rajas is that passion mode. It's fire, it's agya, it's heat, it's digestion. And then the pillar of health for earth and water is called Ojas. And that's, again, more about density and grounding energy. So if 2020 was the time of all the Rajas, the fire and the anger, and then the vata, whatever, 2021 could be about grounding that energy and integration. I see, feel, sense more than ever before that we are prime for a period of great awakening that all souls and humans, this is what Katie said, that all souls, humans, beings are capable of stepping into their full magnificence now. Amen. What daily practice have you and Kala cultivated that have supported this process that you've embodied and can share with others? And you need to get some shit done. Amen. Kala and I do serious work together as a couple, as business partners, as parents, and as spiritual married people. And we call it soul mapping. We practice things like radical vulnerability and radical honesty. We practice this experience of being in heaven and hell at the same time by communicating. And I would say that the thing that we do really differently is that since the day we met, we call each other out on traumas and triggers, but we don't live in them. And we call out the experience of soul mapping them. So here's an example. A trigger or a trauma starts in what we call awareness, in this realm of grounding. And that's what I was saying 2021 can be about. More ojas and more like integration and grounding. It's not like we can ignore what happens. So I'm not going to ignore relationships he has with his family or that I have with my family. Things have passed through. We're in the car or we're driving around and he says something that is clearly a little bit cruel, or because he's defending, because he's a child and his wound, and it comes through. Say that's the experience. That's in the awareness. What we do is we look at the whole thing as a portal. We go to that very sacred place when we close our eyes and we realize, oh my God, I don't know everything. If I expand my consciousness, I realize that there's not only just a timeline from heaven to hell, but there's a whole portal of various shades. Like when you dance, one of the first things Colin and I did together was we danced. So I say, okay, I see, hear, and feel his pain. I know it's probably not from me. What's the other side of it? And that's called core desire. And if you really call someone on that, and I'm saying this, Katie, like with yourself, with myself, this is such a good question. I'm sure you do this in your own way, and we've talked about this in our various amazing conversations. But core desire really is about, like, in this moment, what is your core desire? Or when I say to my husband, Kala, what is your core desire? It's the hardest part of 9 realms in the soul mapping matrix, which is an organized way of the unseen and unheard to be systematized so that we can turn our triggers into portals for growth and bliss every damn day. Every day. I have a potty mouth. Because it's not enough just to do it once in a while or once every few years or to go to psychotherapy and just do it. No, we have to do it all the time because this is new earth and all the pain is laid out for us. So I feel the hurt. And the hard work is to shift into core desire. I want to be heard. I want to be loved. I want to be felt. And I really want to be experienced for who I am in the whole spectrum. Not just happy. Not just light. That core desire puts someone right away into a place of authentic joy, actually, and happiness. And then you can make a choice. And that's the third realm. Colin and I practice doing that every day. This has been the hardest 3 years of our life. And we did not expect to see things blow up the way they have, but they have, and then you have to rebuild. For relationships, for business, for marriage, for all of that stuff, I know, like, Scott and many people who are on here have been married a lot longer. Narissa, so many folks. I'm going to wave to everybody. I haven't said hi so much on Instagram. I love you guys. Janice. You guys know that the power of staying, that the power of holding the rajas, Sarah, you're asking, the power of holding the pressure will in itself create a container that is really powerful. Like a baby in the uterus, or, you know, like the embryo has to grow and then it already needed a strong container. Marriage is that container. Bhakti yoga is that container. Your home in the physical realm can be the container. When it all blows up and you've got everything in front of you in the moment of trigger, what is your container? And that's literally what's happened in the world. Everything we thought we knew and we believed and we held on to has blown up. Life and death are like imminent. We trusted authorities. They've completely shown themselves to be lying on both sides. It's a mess. It's a freaking mess. What's the container? What is that container? It's humanity. What is it for you? So, it's 8:30. I'm going to humbly close, and I'm going to ask you all, I'm begging you the way I beg to the Vaishnavas. I believe you're all the majestic council right now. I believe everyone who's showing up for each other is meant to show up now. I'm begging you to write some comments and ask some questions, because the more we interact, the more I can channel. This was very messy. This was very much me showing up. I really look forward to being able to connect. Yes, the Dalai Lama is a container for you and for so many. Penny, I understand. I love that. I love that you came on and said that, because okay, I'm going to say something. So you just brought something up. There's a lot of triggers right now in the world. There's a lot of people who are going to be experiencing that spectrum of realizing that the only container actually that exists is our sacred sovereign self. I don't know about you guys, but I've seen a lot of lies come out in the matrix. A lot of people are going down. A lot of people are finding out that both sides of the spectrum suck. I would like to ask you to help me be honest, step up, and speak through the fear and through the pain to what is the core desire that we have. My core desire is to forgive. My core desire is balance. My core desire is not the absence of pain, but the experience of transcending pain in the material realm to be of service. My deeper desires, very personally, are to experience, well, I'll tell you more about that another time. What are your core desires? What are your questions? Write them in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. I'm going to do this for 21 days. Thank you for joining us for Rise of the Sacred Sovereign. You guys are amazing. Please forgive me for any offenses. Vanchakalpatarubhyas chakripa sindubhyeva chapatitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I promise to bring some more goods. You promise to bring more questions. If you want to talk further, you can always reach me via jaishreeyoga.com or thesoulmappingmatrix.com. And I do love working one-on-one, so thank you for getting in touch and setting up discovery calls for those who want healing sessions or to talk more. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, Sarah. I love you all. Katie, Chicky Glass, so many people who have shown up. Thank you for being here. And yeah, let's put our hands up and just send some love. Penny, love you. Thank you for showing up. Meditate on the sacred container of yourself as a soul and knowing that the spectrum exists. Heaven and hell are both real at the same time. So how are you going to live in that pressure? How are you going to show up? How are you going to soften the ends and edges of your portal so that you can expand for 2021? Love you, Jai Radhe. Please send love to those who are being so brave, showing up, and that includes you.